top 20 battle themes. Regular battle themes, not boss battle themes. Battle themes. This is from Punch-Out on the original NES. So heroic. Such pummeling bass action. Got such a great intro. No drums. Just bass. It's like the bass is battling the top melody. And they're dancing in amongst each other. Sort of mimicking like the heroics of the Rocky movie. It's Punch-Out. Now we'll check out the Wii version. The Eye of the Tiger intro. Drums. And then some horns, some 1970s horns come in. Just like the Eye of the Tiger theme. Brass for ass. Our first track, our first selection. I don't remember who from in our Discord, but it's somebody from a Discord. This is from Xenosaga Episode 1. This is the battle theme. Watch out. Some great descriptions in the chat here, of course. Prince leads off with a great one. Sounds like you're fighting for your life in a dark enchanted forest. Yeah. And why? Why is that? Maybe it's because it never seems like it settles into a direct beat, you know? There's just a lot of this kind of snare action. Almost like... And it's kind of a light snare, almost like branches whipping you. Maybe leaves. A lot of light things in the forest, and heavy things too. The light things are flying around, the heavy things are planted into the ground. The compositions in RPGs, Chris is saying, you can still look fondly on them after dozens of hours of gameplay. That's totally right, where you have to, like you were saying, this is the theme you hear most off in the game. I was also saying most of the areas in the game don't even have background music, so just be silenced and battled in silence. That's weird. This is in Xenosaga Episode 1? That came out on the PlayStation 2. Oh, I see. Back in 2003. Reminds you of games that have battle music, but when they get to the serious parts, it doesn't even use them in the normal battles. Often adds to the drama. Yeah, I mean, I love, of course, the classic example in Final Fantasy VII when a terrible thing happens that I won't spoil. And that I'm sure Najima and Nomura will ruin. In the remake, there's no battle theme at all. No music at all. Or just a sad theme. Very sad. But this was not sad. This was magical and carousing. It kind of sounds like you're on a nice wind flying through the air. You can hear the magic in the air. Maybe like sci-fi ships. It's very light on its feet. Almost like a boxer dancing in the ring. Like that game about Mike Tyson. This next track, Fire Emblem, Three Houses. Keep it going in Japan, baby. Tearing Through Heaven, in brackets, Rain. Composed by Takeru Kanazaki, Rei Kondo, Hiroki Muishita. Well, that's a very complex song. It's at 230 now. It's going up to 252. It's still got more to give. What a surprising song. You know, from the look of it being Fire Emblem and anime and even the intro, I wasn't expecting a heck of a lot, but as it did dive in, and I like what you guys are saying about it being more personal, not necessarily a good and evil thing. It does kind of sound like this battle is being handled delicately. The drums are kind of delicate, they're quick and they're dancing all over the place, but it's that breakbeat stuff where it's never firmly sort of like, it's just dancing around. A lot of dancing around in these battle themes. That's something I didn't expect to be saying. Dancing, you know, dancing is a lot different than fighting. Or maybe it's really similar, but just on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's very loving. It's like tough love, you know? It's like trying to shape it. You can feel the melodies pushing, pulling it around. Like pointing your son in the direction of a good school and not hanging up behind a dumpster smoking cigarettes. Get out of that dumpster. Behind the dumpster. Alright, coming on to 938 on your YouTube dial. The Edge of Green from Radiant Historia. Composed by Yoko Shimomura, our favorite from the Street Fighter series, from Final Fantasy 15, from Kingdom Hearts. Great music. All right, Yoko. Chrono Trigger inspired, he says. Well, let's give it a listen. Wow, that's another really beautiful track. Such a nice, you chose that song for me specifically? Oh, well, I really, really liked it. I am a big fan of some of the more dramatic chord changes. Steady drums feel like you're trying to accomplish something. I totally agree. It definitely faced up between royalty, yeah. It's very, all these themes have been very elegant so far. They've been, you'd think battle themes, you're going to hear a lot of heaviness and violence and chaos. I mean, how a real fight would be, but all the stuff has been very controlled. This is more like people of magic or great skill having an intelligent duel. A diplomatic dance to the death. One false slip. You say something, the crowd turns on you and off with your head. Oh, this is, yeah, I forgot it was Yoko. I said it a few minutes ago, but I forgot it. So bloody good. It just surprises you every time. One of the most prolific game composers of considerable quality ever. Way to go, Yoko. We love Yoko. More games from Japan? Sure. This is from Romancing Saga 3, the battle theme. Made by Squaresoft, but composed musically by Kenji Ito. Let's have a listen. Wow, that was a really fun listen. That one just goes and goes. I was saying that for a Super Nintendo game, the bass and drums sound really good, really hard hitting, which can be hard to do on a Super Nintendo. Chris says the bass is making it sound grounded and earthy. It definitely does. It feels like it's a little more intimate, like a band is playing this in a way. One trumpet, you know, a frenetic drummer. I like how the drums are sort of like they're switching from a lot of different styles. They're doing a lot of stops and starts, but they're very consistent. So it definitely has that sort of like circling each other and lining each other up. So this is by Kenji Ito, who Rudy says Kenji Ito's like the trump card that Square has, but they only use it in the SaGa games. Doesn't feel like another meaningless fight. So playing a game that changes its battle music based on the area of the overworld you're in. This would be the desert theme. Oh yes, with that lone kind of trumpet. Definitely sounds like it could be out in the hot Egyptian sun. The Sahara. Those plaintive strings, but proud but tired. Walking in the desert, the hot desert. Can't get enough SaGa games? Well, this is from the Unlimited SaGa, Battle Theme number 1 from Square Enix. Was not composed by Kenji Ito. Oh no. Holy crap. Was that ever good? So that was Masashi Hamazu. Definitely sounds like him. We talk about him a lot on the show. There's so many great themes that show up in games we love. He was the main composer in Final Fantasy XIII trilogy. He's very famous for having this killer solo violin player and then creating incredible layers of synths, pianos, drums, making things sound ambient but never boring. Ever. Chilling to this track on a roof at night. And he worked in Final Fantasy X too as well. He did, didn't do all of them, but he did some. He did a gorgeous track called, what is it called? It's that one where it feels like it's just slowly being like torn apart. I did it on my Sad But Beautiful episode. I can't remember. Not Bound Before the Storms. That's a beautiful Uematsu track. Anyway, it's beautiful. And that like percussive guitar, what a sound that is, eh? Almost sounds kind of Latin the way that they're dragging it out. It's beautiful. It's incredible. He's an incredible talent. This is such a great theme. And I did not imagine that we would hear so many of these like break beats. I thought we'd hear tons and tons of like rock tracks or like punk beats and stuff, but it's all this kind of like never quite committing to the beat, always sort of like skipping off. Very elegant battle. I will say, when we were discussing battle themes, I was worried because I tend to think I don't like battle themes. I think they're all just going to be like that annoying kind of J-rock. Just like guitar without any soul or tone and just like driving. But everything has been gorgeous. Total beautiful ambiance. And in the Discord, I see people have been hankering to get a chapter 2 out of this, a part 2. We'll see about that. Hey, more Japanese games? We've got them here. Maybe it's just because JRPGs tend to have battle themes. Could be. Because like when you're playing an action or a stealth game, you don't want to hear the battle theme. That means like, oh, it's tense. Whereas the JRPGs, you have to battle so much. They're more pleasing. That's probably what it is. This is from Mana Khemia, Khemia. The track is Disruptor. Oh, that's what I thought was coming. Very guitars. All right. Yeah, that's that one is very insistent. As Chris says, you're battling whether you like it or not, and then there is a really nice B section where it chills out and it gets more cerebral that I really like. As Horiki describes, you take a little break in that track to talk about friendship and honor. But in between the battle, let's talk about ethics, about etiquette, about the rules of the battlefield, the rules of engagement. Meet the appearance of force. You know, for a track I just described being afraid of, here's your steady rock beat. Here's your Japanese guys playing guitar. This is nice. This is tastefully done. The guitars have a snarl to them. They have a personality. They're not just like bathed in boring distortion, stripped of any meaning. It's very nicely done. This is very tasteful. The Atelier series is 22 games long. Too big to fail. Now, I know you guys want to hear more Japanese music, so this is from Sora no Kiseki the Third. Determination of Fight. I wonder what that's translated from. Oh. Would you like to fight? Or would you like to have a drink of this scotch? Wow, what a really nice track. Another really elegant track. A lot of dancing around, nimble piano. Oof. Next we're playing. It definitely does have a casino vibe, as Prince is saying, in an indoor resort. I think it's got kind of like a schmaltzy, syrupy, glossy, kind of cheesy sound. Like, welcome to the battle. Today, Angelo will be punching you in the face. We hope you enjoy your stay at the Bone Break Motel. So, more Japanese games, shall we? Here's a battle theme from Bayonetta. I don't know the composer of Bayonetta. Maybe we'll find out in the chat. I bet you we will. You guys are a knowledgeable bunch. Mysterious Destiny, Angels Battle, battle theme. Now that's a beautiful dancey theme. I love that bass. This is how you use synth bass. In the Mario 3D games, they tend to use a lot of synth bass for the bosses, and it makes everything kind of sound really cartoony, sort of like. But this is the way you use bass to create a nice low, round, big tone that can really move all over the place really, really quickly, quicker than a regular bassist could play. Which is, this bass sounds like a piano player playing it. The jumps that it's doing, like from the low to the higher, and the speed and the amount of notes. And now we're talking about, why a lot of Western games don't have battle themes. So I'm trying to think, maybe Mass Effect would have a battle theme, but it's probably just like a low, quiet piece that comes up when you're shooting and you don't really notice too much. This definitely has a lot of personality in the theme. It's nice and warm and inviting. It's got the female vocals. Crazy jamming all over the place. Chord changes taking you on a long and winding road. Borderlands 3 has some variations in music that come out when you're fighting. Yeah, I find music in a lot of modern Western games is more of... It's like film music. It sits underneath. Alright, you weebs. And you Masashi Hamazu lovers out there, this is the battle theme for Final Fantasy XIII. Apparently the upload, this guy described it as, this is the battle theme for the demo version of 13, so it may or not be used in the final version. This person didn't know back in 2009. So let's check it out. Let's see if it is the main theme. It sounds like it, the name at least. Yeah. Oh my god. Man, what a theme. You can just like feel the camera panning across the battle as it sets it up, and just this, it makes everything sound epic. There's so much great use of different orchestral instruments, sort of like from small to big, all the different elements of the battle, and just it always feels like it's introducing something big and huge, and it fits that battle gameplay, which is really like almost no other video game ever, which is quite a feat to be still working on JRPGs and actually pushing forward. Like Chris said, for the time, this piece really sounded like it was pronouncing a new era for the franchise. Whereas Uematsu, we know he is a god of music, but he had he's more of like a rock style. He can do classical things for sure, but he likes stuff to be a bit more kind of straight ahead, a little more direct. He goes outside of the box. He's definitely unique and takes chances, but his songs are a bit more straight ahead, whereas Uematsu builds his songs more like vertically, and this one I'd say is probably one of his most, that has the most forward kind of momentum with it. But he's just like David Wise from Donkey Kong Country, just able to build these like stacks of epic ambient towers to be brought down, these two towers of sound, by a flaming plane of melody. It does have a Chinese theme sound too, doesn't it? The railroad progression. Hot potato, never going to the one. Beautiful. The railroad progression. It's a common chord progression within contemporary Japanese pop music. It involves a seventh chord, a 4, 5, and 3, along with a 6, and avoids the home chord. Originally influenced by jazz and rock progressions, originated in Western music. Does it just make you feel so good, those chords? Like you're going off on a nice journey and you're not coming back. You just are continually progressing. Oh, it's gorgeous. So gorgeous. Our next track is not Japanese. This is from Divinity Original Sin #1, I believe, made by a North American team. And the revival of the CRPGs, brought back to life by the good people at Kickstarter. Golly, that was a nice track. Definitely a bit of a change. A little more Western sounding. A European game, a European developer. kind of has that European, like, medieval sound to it. Just with that reverby guitar line, and how the percussion is kind of like low and thuddy. I feel like I'm in like the dungeon of some castle, you know? But there are horrors emerging from some portal. For instance, it sounds like you're on a train while another train is chasing you from behind, racing to get into that tunnel, because you know what that means. But enough of that Western stuff. We came here to listen to Japanese music, didn't we? Apparently. This is a very new theme, probably the newest on the list, from Tales of Arise. Battle theme music, 15. Holy shit, 15? Alright, that's interesting. It really makes it sound like it's in 5 or 7, but it's just in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not a fan of this one? You still think his glory days were on the PS1? What was he doing on the PS1? Other Tales games? Yeah, I think this upload on YouTube is poor. It's lacking... it's super compressed. You can hear in the cymbals it's really washy, and there's no low end. This one's pretty fun. Kind of fun little... He uses the 6/8 time and sort of the quickness of it, and a little drum hits at the end to kind of mark the change of it, to make it sound a bit more dancey and fun. And that organ is a pretty fun sound too. I guess distorted guitars and stuff, and it's like a really fun way of delivering bad news. Maybe somebody was just like a really wild enemy character. It's nice. I like the places it goes. I like the way it makes my brain feel. So, more Japanese. This is Final Fantasy III from the Pixel remasters that just came out. This is Battle 1. Regular battle theme. right, let's hear the original Final Fantasy III battle theme from the NES. Oh. They're pretty faithful to it. All right, let's hear the DS version. It's a great theme. It stands up over all these different arrangements. It's so kind of like cute and quirky. The little stops. What a great track. And especially being the third Final Fantasy on the NES, it means they've had so many years to work with that hardware and really figure out exactly how they want to use it to tell a story. And then just like that, it's time for an SNES. Hey, look, Falcom stuff. This is the track We Mustn't Be Defeated from The Legend of Heroes 4, composed by Naoki Kaneda from the Falcom Sound team. Let's check it. Oh, it's Smoke on the Water. No. Inagata Devita. Inagata Devita, baby. Don't you know that'll always be true? Of course, it changes when I sing. Inagata Devita, baby. Don't you know that'll always be true? Inagata Devita, baby. I'm gonna play Falcom games with you. Yeah, that's a fun little track. Definitely a lot to get used to. But it's got some nice heavy synths on there. Way different than a lot of stuff we've heard. This sounds like a prog rock band from the 70s. This is not, they're not going down that glory heaven road that Horky shared with us. Here is another battle for you to go through. Well, the thing that FM synth music is good at is you just have to do it with a band, because each instrument sounds like a synth player in a band. It's not good at sampling orchestras and complex instruments. Just single line stuff. That's what they do. Our next track is from Grandia. Look at this beautiful cover. Hey, don't you want to play that? Ubisoft? What the hell? You know, Ubisoft people go, why do you always talk about how we put out a game every year? It was always like that. Back in the day, we're the ones who stayed true to a game a year. You're the ones who take 7 years to make a game over there, Last of Us Part 2. Not even fun. It's depressing. Last of Us Part 2, a documentary on how Naughty Dog treats their staff. This is the Battle 3 from Grandia. More elegant, royal battle music. Now, I'm no graphic designer. I'm just a simple man who tries to put borders around a few things and arrange things the best way I can. But I'm gonna say, this cover art, while the cover art is great, look at these logos. Ubisoft Game Arts, this one, ugly, so ugly, just stuck on there, ruining that nice art. Looks terrible. Looks like it's censoring something. Looks hideous. Ugh. Ubisoft's old logo really looked like late 80s, early 90s computer developer logo. Not nice. Game Arts with that M slanted over. The Japanese one looks way better. Well, let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, that's a little more evocative. Like, ooh, who is that? What's in here? What's happening? It's not just. Well, I mean, this looks fun. This is more kid friendly and kind of like sexual. So strange. Now, I don't know what this game is. Hylics 2. Hylics. The track is called Them's Fightin' Words. Composed and performed by Chuck Salamone. Mason Linderoth and Chuck Salamone own the copyrights to it. Aren't you glad you know that? Don't hit me. It was a nice palate cleanser. Very nice. I like the tremolo and the vibe of it. It's a very casual confrontation. game is weird enough, it could be a battle theme. Very well. Don't fight me, fight the man. What would you say that this is, like a late 1980s Japanime? Very Shin Megami Tensei. Ginger Wesker. Well, this is from Shin Megami Tensei 9, Nine, Dark, Law Battle. From the original Xbox game composed by Takahiro Ogata, Masaki Kurokawa, and Kenichi Tsuchiya. Oh, no, I want more. Wow, what a beautiful view. The piano so simple but effectively placed. The way the drums are just a little bit behind the beat. This really kind of gives it this oomph. I feel like if kind of the drumming swagger of John Bonham from Led Zeppelin was in a weird, chirpy, futuristic Japanese cafe that was up on the 101,072nd floor that you visited by Sky Taxi. Oh man, look, I'm floating. What a fantastic track and feel. Those nice pads, those vocal pads. Slowly breathing out, breathing in. Breathe out. This could help you with your anxiety. Especially if you like those glibbity globs. Well, we can't talk about great battle themes without playing a track from the great series Final Fantasy. Again, we've already had one, but here is another one. Arguably the greatest Final Fantasy battle theme? I would say yes. It's the one I'm most excited to hear all the parts to. Here we go. I love that turnaround. All right, we must, of course, hear the original from Final Fantasy X and compare them. Final Fantasy X. All right, the original from PS2. Alright, well, it's, before we get to the music, I mean, look at what they did. So this is the original from the PS2. And her face, to me, seems, much, like, longer, and, she seems a little more kind of, like, tenacious. And here, it's, like, softer and more welcoming, and, This one looks way more realistic. More mysterious. Here she just kind of looks like more like a blow-up doll. The HD model of the face is more animated. Okay. Yeah, that's quite the shift. This is how I know her. Is from, because I just mostly played the remaster. But yeah, she looks way better there. This has that like Kingdom Hearts kind of gooey, soft, strange look to it. This just, I mean, look, it even looks like she has a complexion. It looks like she has pores. I like that. Is this Titus? All right, here's Titus. You weebs. All right, Titus. There he is, HD. That's how I know him. Oh, look at this guy. He's got a little more like Asian looking. More. It's like they're wearing this weird mask on top that kind of puffs out. He looked kind of weird there too, but he looks a little more Japanese and looks a little more... See, it's this Kingdom Hearts bullshit, like in the chest, the way the clothes are. They just look more realistic here. Alright, and the music. I mean, what can you say? An incredible battle theme. I think Final Fantasy VII is probably my favorite, actually. But I like this one. It's a little more pomp and circumstance, a little more elegant sounding, like a lot of the tracks that we heard. I like the way, even though it's just like a 2, 3, 4, it sounds like it's way more complex than it really is. But it announces things, and it's just a very slow going down, and then it comes back up. It's got a great sort of bridge. And it just makes it sound like there's a lot of tension with that kind of... But then it's having a lot of fun with the horn arrangements and parts. And there's a lot of like little synth stuff here and there. It just really feels like there's all these different elements you're considering. And it's fun. It's very good-natured. But I mean, look at Titus's face. All right, let's have a fight between Final Fantasies. In the previous corner... wearing the yellow and blue trim of Titus was Final Fantasy X. Composed by Uematsu Mnebi Hamazu. In this corner, a reigning champion directed by Hironobu Sakaguchi. Loved by all, maybe, older people that have played it. Final Fantasy 9 battle theme music battle 1 from the PlayStation 1. Not a remastered version. Let's see who is the winner. Old school. Fucking drums! Maybe this one's better. Yeah! My headphone can't stay in my head! And maybe I like that one better. They're all good in their own way. This definitely feels like it was a throwback to Final Fantasy VI battle themes and 5. That sort of like opening. It's a little more one note than Tensei theme. Doesn't quite have the drama. Reinforces the same steady, optimistic notes. Absolutely, Chris. But I just love that intro with the drums. Gets you so pumped. You press the attack button. Well, to press the action button over the attack button. Maybe use a few potions. There are occasions when you get literal chills when it starts. Oh my god. What an intro. So, how about Final Fantasy versus its nemesis, its friendly rival, Dragon Quest XI. Dragon Quest. And the 11th one, the symphonic version, Battle for Glory 4. Delicious. Oh. Oh. What a really adventurous, kind of quirky little battle theme. Very epic, but just has a lot of cheeky little riffs here and there. A lot of stops and starts. Kind of very John Williams in Star Wars. You know, like if he was scoring an asteroid field or something, or lots of stops and starts, and the heroes have the upper hand and the villains have the upper hand, and little setbacks here and there. So this is actually a symphonic version of the Dragon Quest IV battle theme that appears in Dragon Quest XI. Very classic sounding, yeah. Uematsu definitely was totally outside of the box, and this is much more of a traditional classic sound. Really making use of those xylophones. Number 20. Does that mean we've gotten to the 20th best one? Or the best one? Or some random number in between? Let's find out. This is from Grandia XTREME, which had to have been made in the 90s, or in Japan in the 2000s. Looks like it's on PS2. Let's listen to it.
Oh, Archie.